So you want to do the Nürburgring 24. Good news! It's one of the most fun, chaotic, and unforgettable things you'll ever do in sim racing. Bad news? It's a lot of work. You and your teammates will spend days, maybe weeks, preparing for a single race. It's exhausting, it's nerve-wracking, and it's worth every second. Before you even think about signing up, ask yourself if you can really commit. This is a serious time commitment, and not everyone can dedicate that much time, especially if you need to learn the track. It's 24 hours long, and your teammates are counting on you to show up. You need to clear your schedule. Make sure nothing in your real life is going to pull you away mid-stint. And you'll need a D4 license or higher in order to participate.
I mean, I'm not going to say anything, but I will be on the grass there to go around him as well.
Does that sound like too much? Then start smaller. That's how I got introduced. My first team endurance race was the 6 Hours of Le Mans, where I figured out the basics of driver swaps and spotting. It was a blast, and I walked away with way more confidence. After that, I tried a 4-hour race in the Nürburgring Endurance Championship just to learn the track, find out stint lengths, and get comfortable with pit stops. Find and join a community where you can find people to do this with you because you can't solo this.
I need friends.
You need at least 2 drivers and a maximum of 16. Each driver must also complete their fair share of seat time. The way it works is simple. Take the total laps, divide by the number of drivers, then take 25% of that number. That's the minimum amount of laps each driver needs to complete. It also means if you register a group and one person's a no-show, you're all disqualified. I joined a Discord server and got to know a bunch of people who were willing and able to participate. I recommend doing this as soon as possible. Not only will you find teammates, you'll also stumble into setups, strategy chats, troubleshooting help, and advice from veterans who've been sim racing for years. That kind of support network is invaluable. We had a decent turnout, and 5 of us ended up in our final team. But it took some massaging. Originally 6 people, then down to 3, almost called the whole thing off, but found 2 people to help revive the group. The final roster, in order of appearance, Simon, me, Terry, Peter, and Ali. Learn the track. It's 16.1 miles or 25.9 kilometers of very narrow track with very close barriers. I recommend watching onboard videos first, then jump in and learn the track in chunks. Use iRacing's active reset. Loop the sections that trip you up until they're burned into your brain. Kinda like learning to play a song on an instrument. Not that I'd know. Spend more time on the parts of the track where you struggle. Take note of where you've crashed during practice and put in extra practice time in that section. Ideally, you want to be in a car you're already comfortable in, but you can try a new car if you put in the extra practice. Try the track in different conditions. 24 hours means racing at night, and sometimes even rain. Once you're comfortable in the dry during the day, try some other times and track conditions. Actually go into the expected forecast of the race and use those parameters to create your practice sessions. And if you can, find a setup that feels good on the track. For us, Peter shared one that felt stable and fast, and everyone agreed. Practice in the setup you plan to use for the race. In my last video, I mentioned that relying on the racing line was actually hindering my progress. I depended on it too much, especially when tunnel vision set in. With the line on, I was just waiting for the red marks to tell me when to brake instead of picking my own track references and looking ahead for upcoming braking points. On top of that, I was always starting each reset from pit lane, so I was only really learning the front half of the track. Another hindrance was not using active reset sooner. I was stubborn as usual. My excuse was that I didn't have enough buttons mapped for it. A pretty flimsy excuse. Once I got past that, I started learning the track in small, repeated chunks until it was burned into my brain. Making those 2 small changes is what made the biggest impact on learning the track as quickly as possible. By the end, you want to be dreaming about driving the green hell. I only had 1 week to nail it. Fail, and I would let down all of my teammates. That pressure was a huge motivator for me. Do a full hardware and software check well before race day. You want to do this early so you have time to fix any potential problems you discover. Oh my god. Oh, two on the... Oh jeez. Calibrate your wheel and pedals, run a stress test on your PC, and have all the necessary buttons mapped correctly. Prepare your mind and body. Get extra sleep in the days before. Set reminders to hydrate between stints and use the bathroom before it's your turn to drive. Have convenient snacks or meals on hand in case you get hungry. Practice keeping your head in the game during long, uneventful stints. Highway hypnosis is real. And don't spiral if you make a mistake. One slip is fine, don't let it turn into 10. Optionally, discuss with your teammates what kind of comms are okay during their stints. Some may find small talk calming, while others might find it distracting. Make a rough schedule of driver stints. Simon made a really detailed one in Google Sheets. It was awesome. The different time zones would actually turn out to work in our favor. When one of us was going to bed, someone else on the other side of the world was just waking up. Simon from the Canadian East Coast was scheduled to qualify and take the opening stint. From the second stint and on would be me in California and Terry in West Australia. By the time I'm on my final stint at night, Peter should already be awake in Hungary, ready to jump in. Meanwhile, Terry would stay on until Simon came back. And finally, Ali from the UK would take over for Peter and bring it to the finish line. It was going to be like a global relay race, and it amazed me that sim racing could connect so many of us from all over the world. Race day morning feels a lot like the morning of a final exam. No matter how much prep you've done, you always wake up with that sinking feeling that you didn't study enough. Your stomach's in knots and your brain keeps running through the worst case scenarios. Thankfully, Simon took qualifying and the first stint, giving me time to calm down.
Here goes nothing.
Thanks for qualifying. I was nervous enough just to be a part of a 24-hour race, let alone line up on the starting grid. Simon's qualifying laps put us in 32nd. After a sloppy rolling start, the green flag drops. The first several laps were absolute chaos and insanely close racing. If you looked at the race out of context, you'd swear it was a sprint race from all the contact. This is insane racing for stint 1. I can't breathe.
Look at lap 1. This is opening lap.
Can't breathe watching. It was giving me a heart attack just watching the chaos unfold, but Simon looked like he was thriving in it. And he held it together for nearly 3 laps. Unfortunately, he was in a crash, defending his 25th position on lap 3 at Schwedenkreuz. A high-speed left over a crest. 15 minutes of repair later, he went back out to claw our way back from 41st position. After Simon gained 3 spots and 7 clean laps, it was finally my turn. I jumped in the car starting from 38th. My goal was to stay alive and lose as few positions as possible. I planned to let the faster drivers through without a fight and pass the slower drivers as safely as possible. My first stints were nerve-wracking, but mostly uneventful. A couple of close calls scraping the barrier, but nothing major. As the sun slowly set, I desperately clung to the fading daylight to burn the track into my head. It turns fully dark during my third stint. It is pitch black, except for the parts of the track lit up with our headlights. Thankfully, the 2 daytime stints had helped me remember the track better. I also queued up verbal reminders for surprise corners like berg work, saying it out loud every lap.
Berg work. Berg work. Berg work. Berg work. Berg work. Berg work. Berg work.
You just hang around for the rest of the race while we do it, so you say it every time.
Terry found it funny, and it helped lighten my mood as I started showing mental fatigue. Thankfully, in between my stints, we had Terry taking up the slack.
Fuck, this is not good, not good.
He clawed us back to 29th position as I barely held myself together. So we have this inside joke in the Discord when anybody asks for advice on driving technique, Terry always jumps in and says, "Alright, look at here, mate. What you need to do is drive faster." And on my final stint, with only 2 laps to go, Terry responds to one of my comments with his infamous drive faster bit.
You must drive faster.
Oh shit. That was hard, fuck.
Okay, not that far.
And as if it was my cue for making that bit stick, I briefly lose concentration. Then suddenly I'm flying past my braking marker and watch my virtual life flash before my eyes. Timing could not have been more perfect. I hit the barrier at a fairly decent speed with the left front corner and snap a tie rod. No more steering. The worst part? It was right at the beginning of the lap, so the tow to the pits could not have been any longer.
Good way to end your stint.
So embarrassing. This was exactly what I didn't want to do. It was a long walk of shame. Thankfully, the repairs were not as long as the tow, and we only lost 1 position. But I was still red in the face from embarrassment, and I felt like I let my team down. After the car was fixed, it was up to Peter to pick up the pieces. He shot out like a bat out of hell, but with an ace up his sleeve. Fuel saving.
Yeah, I'm using 11.5 liters a lap.
With some lift and coasts and later braking, you can stretch a stint to 8 laps. I was barely making 7, but Peter could hit 8 while still lapping quicker than the rest of us. If everyone did the same over a 24-hour race, that single extra lap each stint can save up to 3 pit stops. After the handoff, I could rest easy for the night, knowing the car was in great hands. Support your teammates. A good spotter makes managing traffic in slower classes much easier to handle. Having someone there to check off fuel and tire change settings for you gives you the freedom to focus on the race. Even just being available to sub in for you if something goes wrong can make all the difference. I wake up to a bright track with Simon behind the wheel and Peter spotting. We were in 24th position, up 6 places from where I left them, and 2 spots in front of the team we were trying to beat.
Oh no! Oh,
After Simon's crash on lap 3, we were gunning to beat the guys that put us in the wall. A couple of stints later, Peter took us all the way to 20th position. But there was at least 1 accident per driver in our team that added up to a decent chunk of time in optional repairs. No one made it out unscathed. Even Peter had a big crash. Terry was the only one that didn't have to make an unplanned pit stop, but he had a handful of minor scrapes and things that added up to about the same amount of optional repair time as almost everyone else. The anchor crew of Simon and Ali faced a couple of minor issues that would prevent us from making up the time, but wasn't serious enough to lose us too many spots. We finished 27th out of 46 cars in our class and 57 cars overall.
well, we did it, guys.
Congrats! 24 hours.
But really, we could not have cared any less about the race result, because we were all extremely satisfied with our first 24 hours of the Nürburgring experience. All that strategy and planning only goes so far. At some point, you just have to drive the car and deal with whatever happens. Missed braking markers, wrecks, sleepy night stints. Don't stress about being perfect. Keep the car safe, back up your teammates, and enjoy the chaos. Even if you don't do particularly well, the experience of organizing and working together to finish a 24-hour race is absolutely amazing and fulfilling. Do the prep, learn the track, make your schedule. But when the green flag drops, don't forget the most important part. Have fun. You won't remember the leaderboard, but the trauma bond you build with your teammates will last forever.
Holy shit, did you see that?
No, what happened?